Good evening, everybody. Hello. That was a little off. Hello, everybody. Good evening. It's Thursday night. Hope you guys have had a good week so far. Welcome to the Thursday night show. I am Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I am an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and tonight we've got a lot to talk about. All kinds of fun stuff, and I think you guys are truly going to enjoy tonight and all the things we're going to cover. So thank you all for being here. And if you guys are new, we do this show every week. This is episode 133, 133 weeks in a row. That's pretty neat. Been doing it rain or shine. Even on the road, we've done them. So we try to do these every week, guys. I think it's great. And then I want to say hello to everybody out there on Rumble, Twitch, YouTube, and then last but not least, Locals. If you guys don't know what Locals is basically everything we wanted Patreon to be, but it turned out it couldn't do. Well, because they were, because they're, leftist scum. And they decided to enforce views they didn't like. The people they didn't like, well, they removed you from it. Locals doesn't do that. And guys, at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, you can hang out there. And just like Patreon, it costs you nothing to sign up and become a member of the community. In fact, you can join, you can post things on the wall, you can comment on things. None of that is controlled. But if you wish to support me there, you can support me for $3 a month. With that $3 a month, you get access to the live shows we do on Locals. Now, those are the best part. Truly the creme de la creme, I would say. We do 2 live shows a week there, guys. We do a live show every Monday night, and then we do a live show every starting at 8:30 on Monday nights, or 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish, depending on the time. And then every Thursday night after this show, we usually get to hang out. We hang out for a little while. Depending on how long this one goes, kind of determines how long the after show is. There's some nights we've had really, really long shows here, and then that kind of cuts in over there. Makes a little sense in that regard. But we do hang out there. It's all the stuff we couldn't get to here on YouTube and Twitch and Rumble. We can't get to here because there's some things we can't talk about. There's also some things we can't show here that we have to deal with. And it's just a little more of it's a more intimate environment because not as many people there. And yes, I highly recommend it. I think it's a fun time. You can use the promo code POTCRIM and you get 1 month free access. You get 1 month free access to all the live shows and everything. And I would encourage you guys to join and check it out. We also run a live chat every week as well that runs during the show. And that's, I think actually anybody can be in that one. And that's just where you can put things that are, comments, things that I may be able to laugh about and talk about, but I probably can't show to everyone. But I'd be happy to talk about them because every once in a while we do get some very, very spicy things said by people. And I will keep my eyes peeled on that. I do routinely check up on it. And that's all over potentiallycriminal.locals.com. I hope you see you guys there. And the live chat is up. Also, if you guys could let me know, is Rumble working? Because nobody seems to be on Rumble right now. It always makes me worried. And if also you guys are new, we try to wait a couple of minutes because YouTube is not the best at notifications. So sometimes people need a minute or two to get notified. I'm sure they're doing, more enjoyable things like picking their toe jam or doing any number of things, stamp collecting, than being here right away. Now, if you guys do want the best notification, my lovely producer, the future Mrs. Martin 2.0, has done the research, and it's Twitch. If you subscribe to me over on Twitch, it will actually say when I'm going live, like instantly. YouTube doesn't do it for some reason. That's just YouTube. Rumble's a dumpster fire. So Rumble does what it does. Then see, what are you guys up to tonight? Polly says, don't knock stamp collecting until you try it. Yes, there's nothing wrong with philately. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Are you going to go over the judgment against Good Logic? I'm still looking through it. I'm reading those depositions and all those transcripts. That's very interesting. It's very interesting. At some point, I think I will. Just not right now. I got to keep reading up on it. And then Sarah Boone starts next week. So we're going to be a little busy, chat. Rebels where stamp collectors watch? No, I don't think so. I don't think they watch there. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, gosh. And then what else we got here? We got some. Excited as Hella, how you doing? Guys, if you see Hella, she's doing Hearsay for Days every Sunday at 4, and she will be doing some recaps of the Sarah Boone trial every weeknight starting about 6 Eastern time. So if you guys check up on that, that'll be a pretty good time. And you say, we watch here to troll. SB Seller says, a Jew going crazy with usury? Impossible. Well, yeah, I mean, that's not uncommon. Ninja Man says, are you going to cover the government refusing to only let people help each other and only allowing authorized suppliers to give out stuff to the hurricane survivors? Well, it's not the hurricane survivors, it's the flood survivors in the Appalachians. There are some TFRs that are popping up, and there are people getting around it because they're basically turning off their transponders, blocking out their lights, shutting everything off, and doing like treetop flying with helicopters right now, dropping supplies. I've seen some videos. It's pretty hairy down in the Carolinas. And guys, if you know people in Eastern Tennessee or Western North Carolina, check up on your loved ones because there's a lot of people hurting right now, it sounds like. And from some of the people down there who are tweeting out and getting information out, some places there are actual looters that are the majority force in charge right now, and apparently they're getting pretty desperate. So check up on your loved ones down there. Maddie, I don't know about that one being true or not. I'm not gonna. That is some complete conjecture at that point. Did I come on a PPP's pumpkin costume? This year's was a lot better than last year's. I will say that. This year's was 100% better than last year's. It was a phenomenal pumpkin suit. They've collected a few bodies, terrible stories. Yeah, they have. Yes. Greg Biffle's been flying in Starlink. Is Starlink authorized? Yes. And the big thing is we're finding out with Starlink, you activate it beforehand because people are trying to activate them once they get on site. Then there's no comms out. But yes, using Starlink has been like a massive boon for people. And I mean, that's almost to the point where it's like, how much does Starlink set cost right now? Because Elon has done it where it's like you get Starlink for free right now. He's allowing free access if you're in those areas. And it's $120 a month, but to buy the actual gear, it's I think the cool folder Starlink is like $80. Yeah. You could buy some really good Starlink out there. So Starlink's cheap, but like if you guys are into prepping it all, that's almost to the point of having ham radio, Baofangs, Motorola radios, all that fun stuff, great. But in this situation, a Starlink will be king. So something to think about. Out there. The Shiners know how to avoid the feds. Yes, they do. But now they're not running cars. They're running helicopters. Let's see here. Yes, FEMA apparently is running out of money. What do they spend all that money on? They spend it on people who are not in a disaster. Gee, I wonder how that happened. Who they spent it on? If I send the body paint to the P.O. box, will you dress up as a pumpkin? No, I will not do that. Sorry. Will not do that. Yes, me and PPP switch shows for a day. You know the best part? We could do that, see if Worski notices we're there. That would be the funny part. And hold on, guys, 1 second. Why is this fighting me? There we go. Sorry, I had to fight something on off screen. It was not sitting still. Yeah, it's like a MacBook size. Yes, the hardware is $600. Okay, that's not a bad amount of money for what it can do. Ryan Hall, y'all sent like $20,000 in Starlinks. That's a lot of fucking Starlinks. Holy shit, that's awesome. But yeah, it's interesting. It's pretty heartwarming to see people running helicopters. They're private helicopter owners, just like, hey, I'm going to drop supplies out to people, and people are signaling them with like mirrors and flares and smoke grenades, and they'll drop stuff off and help people out. It's a good thing. It's the good spirit of America. I don't know who had it earlier. I think it was the Hodge twins. Some guy had filmed like one of the local airports in Tennessee or like in the area there. And it was just a bunch of private helicopters just lined up, sitting there getting gassed up and trying to load up. It looked like a military operation, but it's all private helicopters. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see us doing that as people. So as much as we might hate each other at the end of the day, America's still a really cool fucking place. It always is. JKD says, yeah, you can't watch me using ham radio. Well, I appreciate you using Starlink to watch me. There might be other more important things you want to do. But anyways, guys, it's time to get rolling. It's time to get rolling here. So I guess the first thing, and you might say, well, this isn't legal related, but it does. It does have a premise in the law, is the Longshoreman strike. You guys remember seeing this. You probably see it on Twitter. The president of the Longshoremen Associations, this New York sounding dude with a big old gold chain on his neck, which, that's who I really want to see trying to talk to me and threaten me about what's going on in your country. This is this guy right here. This is the head of the Longshoremen's Association. This is him. And when you see this, you're just like, we're getting shaken down by gangsters. Let's see if I can find the Longshoreman when he talks, because when he talks, it's very much.
In the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now.
Yeah, a lot of people are hating the longshoremen because, holy shit, you guys literally go like this. And most trades, I think, are pretty impressive. Iron workers, electricians, plumbers, boilermakers, pipe fitters, welders, whatever out there, you name it, cool. The longshoremen literally, because they're not actually unloading things. They take a container and go boop with a crane, and they go and they go boop onto a truck. That's what they do. And they basically can kneecap the entire country. They can basically kneecap the entire country with their ability to do stuff. And they went on strike. And it was going to cripple the entire fucking country. And what did they do, or what did they want? Were they getting fucking $10 wages? They working $10 an hour or some shit? Not really. So the port strike ends as dock workers reach an agreement on wages. Okay, so what are they making? Because guys, literally, this is what the longshoremen do. Boat comes up, there's a big crane, and they pick up a box, and they pile it with the other boxes, and they go, and then a truck comes by, and it goes, beep, beep, and they put a box on the truck, and then the truck goes away. I mean, we're not landing the goddamn space shuttle here, chat. We're not landing the space shuttle. Anyways, this was happening up and down the East Coast and the Gulf Coast by the International Longshoremen's Association and the U.S. Maritime Alliance, representing the ocean carriers and port operators, and they reached an agreement on wages. The two sides agreed to a 62% wage increase over 6 years. The union wanted 77%, and a day before the strike began, the companies had offered 50% in wages and raises. I mean, do the Atlantic Pacific ports have a different union? No, they're longshoremen too. It's just they had a different agreement. But what does that mean? Like, how much is that? 62% over 6 years. That's a 10% raise every year. And, what is, that's a... the idea of you're really trying to push people you're really not encouraging me to buy, fucking machines and run those on the docks. Because literally you just go boop, boop. Like, it's not like you're in there unloading the boxes. You're doing what I did at FedEx on a macro scale. Like, you're doing it on the big scale. I loaded boxes in trucks. You're just loading in like a single box on a truck. I mean, and yes, they've been suffering from inflation, and I get that. But when you're trying to, sit there and when you tell people like, oh, it's hard times out here, it's like, come on. I'm not like it's tough, but yeah, it's tough for everybody. It's tough for everyone. Hard times all around, man. But it's just the idea you're going to break the back of the entire economy. Guess what's going to happen? Everybody like me is going to go, you guys let's invest in robots because robots don't strike. And Michael, it's not saying that's it's not that the argument here, but it's so hard for us. What are you guys doing? How much do you need? That's the point here. That's the point of the longshoremen. You know why they folded so quickly? Because people are like, you guys are fucking assholes. How much do you want? How much are you making? What exactly is it you fucking do for a living? That's why. Because part of this is, wow, they saw the public turning against them. And when you see like the longshoreman, like their president, he lives like in a 10-acre house with like, making like $900,000 a year. People are like, yeah, I don't feel bad for these people. And when he comes out shaken down like he's Frank Sabaka on The Wire, like he's like, I'll show you guys, we'll break your back. People don't want their back broken, man. A lot of people don't want their back blown out. Well, some people do. Some people do. I'm not going to say who. But there are some people with their back blown out. But the average American doesn't want their back blown out. Because all they've done now is like, okay, cool. I guess we're gonna go at automation. Like, it's like the fight for 15 at McDonald's. Guess what's happened with McDonald's? More and more automation. It's awful. I ignored your comment on the leader. Well, sorry. I did watch season 2 of The Wire. I know what happens to the stevedores. It doesn't go well for them. It doesn't go well for him at all. But Frank Sabaka was a good union president. I will say that. Yeah, if they kneecap the country, then they'll be hunted down. Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. At that point, then no one cares. So they probably save themselves a lot of like when people like, oh my God, our jobs are automated. Then you know what people are going to say? I feel sorry for you. But if this had gone on for long enough that they really damaged the economy, our jobs are being automated. Oh well. Remember, guys, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Don't be a hog. But yes, they're drawing attention to the urgency of automating their industry. Yeah, they are. They are. Luke says, I want my back blown out. Ticklish just for Kate is in the chat. No, 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 no. Yes, Ziggy did kill a duck. Yes, robots can't spit in your food. And Toto Vader says elevator operators lost their entire industry because of a strike leading to automation. Now, let's get back to why is this strike important? Well, guys, this strike is governed by the National Labor Relations Act. Because the Longshoremen are a labor union, they are governed by the NLRA, which is an actual law that was passed. It was known as the Wagner Act in 1935. Now, under the Wagner Act, they have to follow certain rules when they do strikes. Strikes have to be certified. They have to follow rules and operate all together. But interestingly enough, it forces the ports to operate in a certain way that they can try to hire strike, like they can hire scabs at times, and they can do things to have things working, but they can't. There's limits to what they could do to dissuade the strike. There's limits on how they negotiate. There's rules actually for both sides when it comes to negotiations. Then you have unfair labor practices. You have unofficial labor activities. ULPs and ULAs that are going on both sides. And both sides are, it's very interesting how labor law works out in the United States. And it was actually probably like the coolest class I took in law school. Just the amount of things that you can do in the field of labor law. And the back and the forth, the way unions and employers fuck with each other when it comes to unionization issues. Now, I will say the NLRA is an absolute piece of communist garbage. And the fact that unions basically got to operate with a free hand from 1935 till 1947 was really disgusting. And really, they still have the upper hand in the National Labor Relations Act. They still have the far greater hand in what they can do. But I do think it is something to think about. It's something, we normally don't hear about how these strikes go and what happens. So. Maury Memento says they'll just bring in labor while the staff strike. There are rules on how they have to do it, though. There's an elaborate set of, well, it's not elaborate, but there are rules you have to use when using replacement workers and how you do that, and how you go about it. So you have to, yeah. Yes, the Wagner Act did cause the 1937 recession. Yes, it did. A lot of people don't like talking about that. Where are you guys talking about? I'm trying to go back up here. Oh, yes, this is going to really affect the hurricane thing. Yeah, and that's the other problem, too. People are dying in a flood zone, and they're like, well, I want more money to play Tetris. Like, bro. So, yeah, the Longshoremen won. They did for now. Did they win in 10 years? That's the thing. Serene says, is the strike really over for now? Yes. It looks like it has to be finally agreed to and ratified. But yes, it's pretty much over. Just make a game called Crane Operator. The kids can run the port. Yeah. The Claw! You just have aliens. The little kids will be like, oh my God, it's like Toy Story. Do, 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 do. But yes, the Wagner Act. Well, J-Rock, didn't I just do that? All right. So I thought I did explain the Wagner Act. And no, it's not. It's not enabling Wagner, the paramilitary organization. But that's what the National Labor Relations Act is. It sets up Title VII. Chapter 7 of the National Labor Relations Act, it allows for unions to basically do what they want, how they organize, how employers can't stop them from organizing. And that's the neat thing. You may have heard about that. And this is one of the big things with labor law. You own a business and the labor law union comes in, people come in tomorrow and say, hey, we're going to form a union. You can't go, you can't pull a Vince McMahon and go, you're fired. That's illegal. And they'll get an injunction and the federal government will stop you from doing that. Yes. Now, you could shutter your doors and say, I am not going to let you communist cocksuckers in and shutter the doors before I let you organize. Sure, you could do that, but you really got to go to business. So what happens? You have to negotiate with them in good faith. And guess who decides what's good faith? The National Labor Relations Board. And if you don't, if you start screwing with things, guess what gets involved? A federal court gets involved. So it's not a good thing. It's really rough. It's very, we'll probably do this as a separate thing. Like what's federal labor law look like? Because that's governed. That's the neat thing. If you're working in, a bike shop somewhere and you want to unionize, guess what? You're governed under federal law. You might have state laws too. But it only protects private sector unions. It doesn't protect public sector unions. That's all controlled locally. The NLRB can suck it. Yeah, well, that's pretty tough. Unless it sounds like the mafia. It pretty much is. Pretty much is. It pretty much is. Pow Angel says the Wagner Act is unconstitutional as it forces a contract. It does. It forces you to engage with people. You no longer have freedom to run your business as you wish because your employees decide they wish to organize. At that point, you have to deal with them in a way that prevents them from, getting fired. And why is that an issue? Well, remember, this came about in 1935. What was going on in 1935? Well, FDR was running around with his commie stuff. So there you go. Yeah, take a guess who was the POTUS in 1935? FDR. So, all right, guys, with that being done, we'll move on here. There are some other things that are happening here, and we're going to get to these. The first thing, which I think is very interesting, is the Menendez Brothers. The Menendez Brothers, guys, if you don't remember them, were accused, Lyle and Eric Menendez were accused of murdering their parents in 1989, and they were convicted. Oh, hold on. We got a special guest.
He's being clingy, and I can't work.
Okay. That's fine. I got him. We got a special guest tonight, Clyde. Hi, buddy. Hi. Hello. What's wrong, Bubba, huh? Yeah, see, guys, I don't make you charge for the doggo cam. You never have to charge for the doggo cam here. You never have to pay for it here. Potentially criminal. You get the doggo cam all you want. But yes, in 1989, the Menendez brothers murdered their parents, and they were convicted of it. And they might be getting a resentencing hearing. And that's the crazy thing here. That's the crazy part about this, chat. So the hearing's set for November 29th. They're going to get a Thanksgiving surprise one way or another. But there's new evidence, and there's also an issue about whether or not they've been rehabilitated because they've been behind bars the entire time. They've been behind bars the entire time, chat. Now, the DA's office is deciding that there might be some new evidence. And the district attorney for LA County is saying that they received a letter from one of the brothers who's claiming, like their dad was molesting them, which who knows if that's really true, but it's also convenient that's happening right now. They claim they also added other evidence their dad molested them, which, it's easy to claim that when you're accusing a guy who's dead. So, we'll see what happens. Although, for George Gascon, he's running for re-election. Gee, I wonder if that's going to figure into it at all. No way. He's more open to reviewing things other prosecutors may not, like potentially letting these murderers go. Because I just think it's a quinky dink that, yeah. So, and the part of this is California law. Prosecutors can ask whether somebody is rehabilitated and get a resentencing. And Lyle was 21 and Eric was 19. And that's something I don't think people realize. The brothers were not adults. I mean, they were adults. A lot of people think they were minors when it happened. And no. They were adults. They were clearly adults. Yeah, Robin, they claimed this at the time. It's nothing new. That's what I thought too, way back when. But in 1989, I was only 4 years old, so I don't remember it. They are both married. Yes, they are. They are both married, chat. It's very, like I said, the whole Menendez brother thing is super interesting. What's going on with them? It's very interesting what happens there. Yes, they need a lawyer, dog. Toto Vader says that's a stupid law. Is it? I don't think it's that dumb. If you are, I think that if people have been rehabilitated, because that's the purpose of prison ultimately, is rehabilitation. You know, there are some people who are truly monsters that should be put away, but also after 30 some years. You know, I don't think it's wrong to at least reevaluate where people are. Now, if they do it and they decide, well, then they can't stick around. Okay, great. Yes, a member of Menudo came forward. Yes. Yes, and claimed that his dad did it too. $10K views is changing the sentence after the fact. Well, that happens all the time. You can change the sentence after the fact. We release people from prison if we think they're innocent. People get exonerated. But also, hey, they've served enough. We terminate their sentence. But yes, we do change it every once in a while. Fun fact, they're in the front row of a random baseball card while they went on their spending spree afterwards. Cool. That's neat. I bet that is worth a lot of money. Yes, they still committed the crime, sure. It will be interesting to see what they do. Oh. Smart people are manipulative too. Of course they are. Of course they are. Morgan Mental says, how do you rehabilitate someone who kills their parents? Could you? I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. And if you can't, then fine. Lock them up forever. Or execute them. But you get, is it worth taking a look at some point? Sure. I mean, if we're gonna make them ride out 70 years, I think there should be a, hey, let's check and see how they're doing part. Well, here's the thing. George Gascon is a Soros DA. That's the point. The DA of LA County is a Soros DA, so I think it's going to happen ultimately. Corey Renfro says, well, it's not like they can kill their parents a second time. Well, that's true. That's true. That is very true. That's a shame, says it was a Ricky Martin. Ooh. That's not nice. That's not nice, chat. That's not nice. So, all right. Well, so that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, but that'll be a bit of time after that. And yeah, just so we know, what else could happen? They could be given a shorter sentence. They could also get a new trial if the court determines this evidence is compelling enough. But they could also decide, like, they're not going to get resentenced. So they might just say, womp womp, go back to prison. Which can easily happen that way. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. We'll see. In other murder news, there was a very interesting murder that we covered yesterday that a lot of people I don't think were ready for, and I certainly was surprised when I heard about it happening, is the preliminary hearing for the sheriff down in Kentucky. I know we talked about it a week ago, or 2 weeks ago now. And it's Sheriff Mickey Steins from Lecter County, Kentucky. And what he did, he's accused of murdering a judge in the judge's chambers inside the courthouse. Well, he did have a preliminary hearing yesterday, and holy cow, chat. If you guys were not there for, we're gonna talk about it, because part of this is something else, man. It's something else. And if you guys have not seen this, I warn you now, if you've never seen anybody get got, you're going to see somebody get got right now, because we have the footage. And for some reason, one of the news crews turned and watched the TV while they were playing the tape. So here we go. Just your last warning, chat. So this is his preliminary hearing. Now, if you pause real quick, this is the sheriff, and he's like that, and the judge has got his hands up, like saying, please don't hurt me. Well, the sheriff doesn't take that too well. So here we go. Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing. He's about to leave. And then he's like, oh, wait, one more second. Gets under the desk. Like, oh, there you are. Just like, here's some anchor shots. Boom, boom, boom. And so there you go. There's and this is actually interesting. Here's the close-up. The judge is like, look, now I know why you're mad. And we do know why he's mad, because this part is very revealing. So his phone and the judge's phone were taken into custody. And it says, so the judge survived. No, he did not. No, he did not. The sheriff was like, I missed the spot. Anyway, the lead detective on this talked about the two phones being recovered, the judge's phone and the sheriff's phone. And there's some interesting stuff in this.
Yes. Okay. And I would presume that you and the other officers you mentioned when you
and this is the sheriff's attorney cross-examining the detective during the preliminary hearing. Here we go.
Secured the scene, that you secured those phones as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
And have you reviewed both of those phones?
They're currently at the forensic lab at this time being downloaded. I have had discussions with the people at the lab regarding the downloads.
And those are a couple of other questions that I was going to ask you, but my original question was, have you reviewed or are you aware of the content of the phones?
I've not personally seen it because I've not received those reports yet.
Okay, again, based upon your conversations with the officers, are you aware of any recent content that was up and could have been relevant at the time of their discussion?
I was told that Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
So
you might be saying, wait, did I hear that right? Yes, you did. The sheriff tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone. That seems to imply daughter's phone number was on the judge's phone. Ugh. Ooh.
Have you obtained the phone records from Judge Mullins' phone?
I don't have those in my possession yet. No.
Okay. Have you issued a search warrant for them?
Yes.
Okay. And
so there you go. There you go. Oh. JMK says you call the sheriff. The judge's phone picks up. She goes, hi, Dad. Hi, Daddy. It's like, whoa. Ooh. Yeah, he took the judge to the train station. Yeah. Yes, he did. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens from here, because if anything improper was happening, I find it very hard for the state to be able to find 12 people in that county who are going to convict him. You might get a bunch, but you're probably going to get at least one or two who are saying, like, nope, he deserved it. Or you're going to get a lot of people on the jury saying the judge deserved it. Or you'll get all the people on the jury saying the judge deserved it. So it will be very, very, very interesting. It sounds like she was 16 at the time, which makes her, the age of consent. But then it also becomes like the judge is a lot older. He's in his 50s. So there's yeah, we'll see what happens from there, chat. Not enough details to decide, yes, but it's not looking good. This one's going to have a lot of layers to it. And apparently, when the sheriff got arrested, he said something about the judge trying to kidnap his wife and daughter, or they are. We don't know what that's. Like I said, we don't know what that's about. His attorney did give an interview. He spoke very cryptically about things. Like, guys, this is like a movie plot or like something out of like the season plot for Justified. There's a lot of stuff brewing below the surface that we don't know about. And yeah, this is we could easily be looking at a Gary Planchet situation, or we could be looking at the sheriff being a complete psychopath. We don't know. We don't know yet. And maybe this is one of those times where it's somewhere in between. We don't really know. Yeah, Mullen supposedly was granting a protection order against Steins for his wife. That's what we heard too. That's a rumor as well. Yeah, there's so many rumors on this. We don't know. And I don't know if the police are hiding stuff. It's just they might not know. Remember, it's only been, as of yesterday, it's like 10 days. Not even. Will I cover this trial? You best believe I will. You best believe I will. David Goodnow saying, according to JD Delay, and guys, if you guys know what JD Delay is, he's a guy here on YouTube. He is a former con. He's out and he does a lot of videos about like, you really don't want to go to prison. He's apparently claimed that the judge threatened to harm the sheriff. It's also not a bad channel to watch. If she didn't service him, which that's an issue too there. There's an issue in that courthouse anyway with one of the sheriff's deputies extorting women with sex to help them pay for electronic monitoring and house arrest and court fines. And he was assaulting these women in that judge's chambers, like when the judge wasn't there after hours, from what it sounds like. We don't really know the full story on that yet. There's a lot of things going on, guys, and it's only going to keep going. It's only going to keep going. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse, chat. That's all I can say here. It's it's going to get tough. Yeah. Welcome to Kentucky. Yes. And somebody says, only if the judge had a gun. A lot of judges carry guns, believe it or not, more than you'd think. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. A lot of them do. Oh, also in the meantime, the sheriff has resigned, but yes. Imagine if he gets reelected at 85%. Probably. He gets voted. He's a write-in candidate. So it'll be this is in Appalachian area, correct? Yes, this is down in. You guys know where Justified is situated. The show Justified is in Harlan County, Kentucky. And that's considered way down in the holler. Well, this is down there. And I'll show you guys real quick here. Here's where we're at. And if you guys don't know where this is down in Kentucky, this is the Commonwealth of Kentucky right here. This is all of Kentucky. So like here's Tennessee. Over here is West Virginia. This part's just Virginia. So like we're way down there. And this is Lecter County, and then here's Harlan County where Justified is like taking place. It's literally right next door. It's literally right next door. Yeah, but this is in the heart of Appalachia, chat. The heart of Appalachia. So, but to be fair, you could do this here in Ohio, and I'm sure if a sheriff in Ohio found out a judge here in Ohio was diddling his kid, I'm sure most of the sheriffs here in Ohio would pull a pistol out and dust that judge. So it's not really an Appalachia thing. It's just a lot of people would do it. And it's not that they condone it, but they understand. So we'll find out what happens. We'll find out what happens. You just conquered Kentucky by Virginia. What? Oh, Lecter County is just Lecter County. Okay. Did not know that. Polly says, called being a decent human being. Should. Okay, cool. Well, you have fun with that. Yes, just because he's guilty doesn't mean he's base. That's true. That's very true as well. But it will be interesting to see what happens. And it's going to be interesting to see what a jury's willing to do. And I don't think the government's going to be able to find people to convict them. I wouldn't convict them if I was on the jury. And the neat thing is the government can't seek a change of venue because they can't find a jury. Remember, they're not entitled to a fair jury. Remember, the Sixth Amendment only protects the defendant. And if nobody wants to prosecute the case you're putting on, that's a signal. That's a signal you probably shouldn't prosecute it. So, but yeah, that is it's only going to get weirder from here, man. It's only going to get weirder from here. So there's a couple super chats things we need to get to here real quick. We're going to do a couple of them. The Amateur Iconoclast gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. An EDW Raptor gifted 10 subs. Thank you. Thank you for the support, guys. Pumpkin Spice Cedar Rose. Oh, it's that time of the year, I guess, isn't it? Oof. Is a new member. Well, thank you. Squizgar for $5 saying, hey, Sean, coming in from Boone, North Carolina here. Want y'all to know I'm okay. My house still has no power, but I am staying in a hotel. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. I'm glad you're safe out there. And yeah, hopefully you're able to return home and it's still there in one piece. And they're not, whatever it is going on out there where they're like bulldozing areas and saying you can't move back in here because the mud's toxic or something, which is allegedly happening. Michael Gelke is saying for 15 Malaysian ringgit, saying, not bad take. He makes under 10% of what he could at Amazon, and he's doing gangster stuff for Americans instead of foreign interest. Our baddie. Yes. That's a shame, saying he's a Frank Sabaka who got too big for his britches. Yeah. Paulie McCoy is like, yep, they're boot blacks. Yeah, well, boot blacks were a thing too. Yep. Not too many anymore. Kia Patha says, longshoremen are glorified Amazon workers. You can't change my mind. And Michael's saying, again, this mentality is called crab bucket. It's why the ghetto doesn't succeed. Don't be ghetto. Well, the buggy whip manufacturers want to make $100,000 a year. I know. And people in hell want ice water. So still don't feel bad for them. Squizgar says part of the demands were limits on automation. Yeah, well, very soon I don't think that's going to matter coming up. So we'll see. We'll see. Over in Rumble, Shay Chase is saying blame it on the 5G. The sheriff couldn't help himself. Oh, yeah. Job well done says it might not be the law, Sean, but that's what's the reality. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. Shade Chaser says jury nullification is the way to go. Happened before, not that many years ago, for something similar. Yeah, I can see jury nullification happening. Like I said, if I was on the jury and it turns out these theories about the judge doing nasty things to the girl were true, I wouldn't convict. I'd be like, sorry, he deserved it. But let's say it turns out, oh, it was all wrong and the sheriff's acting like a lunatic. Well, sorry, he got to go. It all depends. It all depends, chat. Fallen Preacher says AI lawyers are next. AI has a long way to go before it can do law. Hell, you have AI citing like wrong and fake cases, making things up. So it's got a long, long way to go. Panzer Juice says, "Where my crab niggas at?" Shit. Yes, Pepsi Man says it's about the principle and the abuse of those in power. Yes. Yes. Well, guys, I'm taking a break. We're going to move on. We'll get to more super chats here in a second. Okay, so moving on from there, guys, Ryan Routh is obviously, if you guys remember him, he is the guy who attempted to assassinate former President Trump. And if you guys don't remember what he looked like, here you go. So there he is. Look at that boy. Let's hear it for him. Some of you might want to clap. But anyways, yeah, on the first, his trial was set for November. And he's in front of Judge Eileen Cannon. If you guys remember her, she's the judge from the documents case. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Yes. So, with that being said, there's an order for a November 18th date for the trial. So, what actually happened, though, yesterday? Well, there was a bit of a update and things, and makes you really wonder what's going on here. Be like, what in the MK Ultra is going on, chat? Because it's something. There's something going on here. And it's not what exactly it is, ain't exactly clear. So it's United States of America versus Ryan Routh. The government's unopposed motion to designate case as complex under the Speedy Trial Act and request to have motion deadlines canceled and the case removed from the trial calendar. That's interesting. Wow. Not glowy at all. This doesn't glow at all, chat. This doesn't glow at all. This is not glowing at all. Oh, so what happens? So the United States of America hereby moves the court for an order designating the caption as complex pursuant to 18 U.S.C. 3161 and to have motion deadlines canceled and the case removed from the trial calendar. You'd think like, oh, they're doing it for this, but not the documents case or the January 6th case. Nope, those aren't that complex. Just saying. The undersigned counsel for the U.S. has consulted with defense counsel of record, and they indicate the defense does not object to the instant motion. So they point out that on the 24th, the indictment was returned, charging the defendant with attempting to assassinate a major presidential candidate, which is a violation of a crime. Possession of a firearm and furtherance of violence, a crime. Assaulting a federal officer, being a felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition, possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number. And that's count 5. It's like, yeah, not a crime. This is not a crime. This shouldn't be a crime either. Those two shouldn't be a crime at all. He should only have 3 counts he's facing. But hey, we're dealing with it. So he's got these 5 counts. And it's pretty easy. He did it. But the government's saying, under the Speedy Trial Act, the court may properly exclude certain periods of delay in computing the time which trial must commence. Now, they can exclude a period of time where it finds the ends of justice are served by taking such actions outweigh the best interest of the public and the defendant in a speedy trial. And a continuance may be granted by any judge upon the court's own motion, or at the request of the defendant, or at the request of the attorney for the government. In considering whether to grant a continuance, one of the factors is whether the case is unusual or complex. Due to the number of the defendants, the existence of novel questions of law. Well, we don't have that here. He did it. Like, There's no novel question of law that it's unreasonable to expect adequate preparation for trial proceedings or the trial itself within the time limits established. Now, the government's saying the case is unusual and complex. Okay, what's unusual or complex? So this all occurred on September 15th when Trump was golfing at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. The defendant was taken into custody that day after fleeing from the scene. The government has worked diligently since September 15th to investigate. Over the past 2 weeks, the United States has interviewed hundreds of witnesses. It has also executed 13 search warrants in Florida, Hawaii, and North Carolina, and seized hundreds of items of evidence, including multiple electronic devices. Okay? Over 100 subpoena returns are also still pending. Hopefully not for like electronic data, because you got the NSA for that. Come on now, guys. Come on now. Yes, he's clearly innocent, guys. No. From the large volume of devices and other storage media in this case, the United States currently has thousands of videos to review. Oh my God, is this guy going to be like Terry? It's going to be like cousin Terry. All the images, files, and text files approximately constitute 4,000 terabytes of digital review to complete. What the fuck? 4,000 terabytes, chat. 4,000 terabytes. Holy cow. 4,000 terabytes. Oh. You know, but it makes you wonder, what did they seize? Because that's a lot of data. What were they seizing that's 4,000 terabytes? That's the bigger issue here. What did they go after? Anyways. The FBI is also conducting forensic testing, including ballistics testing, which that's easy and quick enough. Fingerprint DNA comparisons. Based upon the preliminary results, the government anticipates calling several experts to testify at trial. And they say the government must provide expert witness disclosures sufficiently in advance of trial to give the defendant a fair opportunity to meet the government's evidence. Because yes, Ryan Routh is going to get the opportunity to get his own experts and have them evaluate the evidence, make reports, and then you'll have battle the experts at trial. And then finally, due to the reactive nature of this prosecution, the investigation of this case is still ongoing. As such, the U.S. anticipates it will continue to interview additional witnesses, collect evidence, and obtain additional records pursuant to subpoenas. And there'll be search warrants. And therefore, they want this case designated as complex and a lot of parties time to review the voluminous discovery and determine which motions need to be filed. The government also requests the motion deadlines, calendar call, and trial date. So motion deadlines are a thing. Calendar calls are like when you have to show up for court as a status conference. And then the trial date set forth in the omnibusy. There's no omnibusing down in Florida today. Be canceled. And the status conference set 60 days from the date of this motion. So there you go, chat. Yes, then get a superseding indictment. Yes, well, there's that option too. Yeah, that's the thing I was thinking too, Johan. 4,000 terabytes is like enterprise data center levels of storage. So what did they get? That's my problem here. That's the problem. That's the issue here. What are they doing with 4,000 terabytes? Did they just seize a ton of videos and are like, just trying to sandbag with all this evidence or something? Because it doesn't make much sense. It doesn't make much sense what they're going to do there. And yes, there is a big concern because his son, got arrested for having cheese pizza. So maybe it's all his son's cheese pizza that got arrested. And they're just like, why are we having to watch all the 4,000 terabytes of lolly? That would be very interesting. Yeah, it's a lot of gay porn, probably. They just want more time so we can meet Epstein. Well, yes, that was my first thought is like, What in the MK Ultra are we doing here? And yes, it's a convenient way for this guy to get killed. It's not like the first time that's ever happened, chat. Not the first time. Not the first time at all. Where are they storing all that? Well, that's the other issue. I don't know how you store all that. Like 4,000 terabytes. I mean, think about it. If I just had like a stack of hard drives sitting in here in this room, it'd probably be like, could probably build a wall out of them. Could probably build a wall out of them. Was it on flash drives or hard? I don't know, man. That's a lot of watermarks. Yes, it is. EWF just could it all have been on a cloud? I don't know where you'd be able to get 4,000 terabytes of storage on a cloud. All videos in 8K format. Yes. Oh, God, that sounds scary. Yes, it's the watermarks and the compression. Keeps on re-downloading videos and you compress them. That's the problem. 4,000 terabytes sounds like he was a distributor. Yeah, like I just said, like this whole thing reeks to high heaven. This whole thing reeks to high heaven. It's on 3.5-inch floppies. That would be a lot of floppies. That would be a lot of floppies. My suspicion is the CSAM, the cheese pizza, was planted as a threat to keep him from talking. Could easily be. Michael's saying that Amazon will sell you 4,000 terabytes happily or storage. It'll be $10K a month. I mean, I'm surprised it's that cheap, but that's still a lot of money. $10K. Zero Fuck saying, was that a typo? Do they mean gigabytes? No, I think they mean terabytes. So we'll see. That's enough. But anyways, guys, that's enough time. It's all the videos of the freak offs. Well, we're going to move on to that. This is just enough time for him to... It's just enough time for him to get... he's already got enough going on that he can go ahead and just challenge it. And he's got enough time to see what happens there. Yeah, the storage costs cheap. Accessing the data is going to cost you. Okay, well, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'll just take your. I'll just take your. I'll take your advice on that. 'Cause I don't know. I don't know the answer. Okay. So where is... Wait, I just lost it here. Nope. Okay, guys. So moving on from that, Diddy, P. Diddy. Yeah, speaking of people, we're talking about the diddler a little bit here. P. Diddy... Well, he's still having a bad time. P. Diddy is still stuck in jail for all of his cases pending and basically being R. Kelly, the second version of it. Multiple under violations of the RICO Act and the Mann Act, basically transporting women across state lines to have sex against their will, and also allegedly some minors thrown into the mix, along with the RICO, racketeering, extortion, everything else he's doing. And from their chat, we know that Diddy has gotten, he's got new lawyers on his team. He's got additional lawyers, and he's trying a third time to get his bail modified. Now, Diddy's being held without bond, and that's because under the Mann Act and everything that's going on here, there's a presumption you're going to be held without bond because you're a flight risk. Now, Diddy has actually been able to do some impressive things. He put together $50 million. Like, he's got $50 million cash he's got access to. He sold off a bunch of things. Like, he was apparently preparing for this to make sure he had money on hand to post a $50 million bond. In addition to that, he has surrendered his passports. His plane is being sold. He will no longer have access to that. All the things he's trying to get rid of. And from there, the court said no. There was a reconsideration filed. The court said no. But what happened in the meantime is he is appealing things, and he actually got with 2 new attorneys. And they filed a notice of appeal with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. If you guys aren't aware, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals is the federal court that oversees all the New York district courts. Remember, there's 13. Actually, there's 12 total district courts, and then there's District Columbia. So from there, he will find out what happens. Now, courts of appeals, the circuit courts do review bond hearings. And then every once in a while, they're like, yeah, we should change it. Or most of the time, they'll say, nope, it's good. But then what happens from there? Well, it's not like you really go to the Supreme Court with that. They're not going to waste time hearing it. And Garrett Pace says, yes, is that Sotomayor's circuit where she rides? Yes, so Justice Sotomayor rides circuit there. But if they get shot down at the Second Circuit level, they're not going to be like, you can go up higher, but Justice Sotomayor ain't going to do that. She ain't going to do that. She ain't going to do that. She's not going to do it at all. So all we know so far is that the notice of appeal was filed in the Second Circuit. The actual brief has not been filed yet, so there's nothing to talk about. But he has added a couple of different attorneys. He's added Anthony Riccio and Alexander Shapiro. There are a couple different people here. They're like, oh my gosh, we're going to be great. We're going to kick ass. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens going forward. His one attorney, Mark Angfilio, he actually was also attorney for Keith Rainier in his sex trafficking case. So he's got a little bit of pedigree here. We'll see what that does for Diddy. Right now, he's got kind of nowhere to go. Cardi Cat Mom says he needs to be kept safe for now. Yeah, he does. Garrett Pace says he didn't call Barnes. That was a big mistake. Yes, better call Barnes. You have to call Barnes. So don't worry about this. We're not going to get to Justice Sotomayor looking at. I know you guys were thinking that was going to happen. It's not. I get the concern though. Because like, what's the Supreme Court just wasting their time on that for? It'll come to them and they'll ignore it. Okay. I forgot to, before we get too far tonight, chat, I do want to make sure we talk about our sponsors for tonight. We got a couple different sponsors. The first sponsor is thedragonstreasure.com, a haven for teen anime lovers. If you use the promo code CRIMINAL, you get 10% off your purchase. All kinds of things there, coffee, tea, everything else, your heart's content there. T-Man does a great job. He has many different things offered up there. Take a look at it, see if it's something you like. And once again, use the promo code CRIMINAL. You get 10% off. And the other sponsor tonight is MAF-arms.com. MAF-arms.com. MAF Arms also, if you guys may know him betterly, as Fudbusters, Matt LaRosiere. If you use the promo code POTCRIM, you get 10% off there. Off all the various wind chimes and wind chime accessories they sell. And by golly, they sell some of the best wind chimes in Southern Florida. So take a look at them. You guys might like to enjoy them down there. Show them some love if you need some wind chime kits. Where's Stoney's? Well, Stoney, shh. That was coming next, chat. You guys are panicking, and it's like, why would you do that? Just everybody needs to chill. Oh. Okay, and last but not least, we are also brought to you by Stoney's Bar and Grill at 1580 Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota. Stoney's Bar and Grill, guys. Tonight they had bike night going, $2 cans all night long. I mean, what's better than a $2 can? I don't know. You tell me, chat. Sit there, crack it right in on your bike, sit on the patio, crack a couple of road pops. What more could you ask for? You know what you could do? They have the Heavenly Hog there, the hog roasting company. They're providing food from 5 to 8 tonight. So it's a bit wrapping up now, chat, but you know what? It's Thursday night. They are open till midnight tonight. So you still have time. It's only 9:45. Hop on your hog, make it down there, and enjoy yourself down at Stoney's. Do they have good fries? Don't know. You'll have to try them. Do they have Mechanical Bull? I don't know. Thomas says, am I actually sponsored by Stoney's? No. 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 Is a joke. Oh. I said they are introducing new bar games there. They are introducing Baldo ring toss, among other things. You got the horseshoe pit with the Baldo rings, and you can throw them. See if you can get around the rings. So there you go. All at Stoney's. A couple more super chats here, guys. SB Sellers gifted 10 subs. Thank you very much for the support. Potentially Criminal gifted 5 subs. Thank you. True gentleman. True gentleman. Mega Mobas for $4.99 saying, if a job I worked at became unionized, I would leave post haste. I've seen what unions have done to jobs in my own town. Those jobs no longer exist. Well, like I said, sometimes unions have a purpose. Sometimes they don't. But it's up to, it's not the answer for everything, nor is, no union's the answer for everything, because no union's the answer for everything is you get company stores and then they pay you in company script. So on the one end, you have communists running wild. And on the other end, you have Pinkertons running wild. I don't like either of those options. There's got to be a happy medium somewhere. Johan has gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, Johan. SB Sellers says for $10, do the next segment as Barnes as a fun donation. Well, I'll do the next segment as Barnes. Ag Biochemist for $1.99 says the judge was denied. Unhung Hero says, why, Mickey? Why? As he's getting shot. Yes, you guys, that's a play on the Gary Plauché. Why, Gary? Why? As he killed the dude who diddled his kid. Oh, SB Sellers says it's not about deserve. Yes, as Clint Eastwood said, deserve ain't got nothing to do with it. It's about I'd do that too. Like I said, I don't blame him, and I wouldn't convict him, but we'll see what happens. I'm not on the jury. Pseudo Snark is saying the judge is pretty cocky. If you're going to have a tough conversation with an armed man, maybe don't let him block the door. Always leave yourself an out. Well, or just if you're going to have a tough conversation with an armed man, you should be armed too. That's the other option. SB Seller says the sheep segment is a Barnes Fund donation. That's actually where we're going next. And Libertarian Podcast Review. Tyler, how you doing, guys? He's on every Friday night. It's almost the weekend. Yes, it is. Gene says, what is the latest in Sarah Boone? We're going to get to that. That's actually very interesting for Sarah Boone. Jim Cox is saying it's too close to election time for Ryan Routh. And you know what? Once again, it's not entirely out of the possibility. Given how the government and everything operates, it's, we're waiting on the October surprise. And I know some people think the Trump memo being released by Jack Smith is the Trump surprise or the October surprise. I haven't had the chance to read it, so I don't, not going to say anything about it yet. Let's see here. So we have an okay, hold on here. What did I miss here? DS says, good evening, sir. You're saving me from hanging my TV. Well, it's good you're only hanging your TV. Oh, put me on your TV, then you can hang it up and watch me. The DS says, but seriously, Bob Julie broke it. I get that reference. Nathan C says, no, but you can ride Baldo's wife for a fee. Oof. Been there, done that. Says, I lost my virginity at Stoney's. Sounds like a fun time, chat. You heard it here. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. Panzer Dude says, hopping on hogs is gay. Changed my mind. Well, okay. SB Siller says, Robert Gouveia made that 160 some pages into a big nothing burger. Yeah. I watched a little bit of what Rob was talking about there, but yes, there's no bombshells in it. It's already stuff we already knew before. So there's nothing new, there's nothing changing on it. And I thought it was very interesting that he plops that out on the table when Judge Chuck had said, like, no pretrial publicity. And then Jack Smith goes like flap and flaps his nuts on the table. It's like, where are we doing that now? It's just that's not something I think is fair there, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that when I get a chance to read a chat. And Matty B, member for 2 months, says, Stonies, come for the beer, stay for the glory hole. I don't think they have a glory hole there, chat. Corn and Kettle says, how cooked is Diddy? Pretty bad. Pretty bad. I mean, I can't imagine the government coming back and saying, like, it's all fake. Yeah. So, yeah, they're going to be like, it's true. That's how the U.S. Attorney's Office is going to come in, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know. All this stuff about Diddy is true. All right. Moving on from there. I put this in the title, Prison for Breeding Sheep. Now, it's not exactly that. There's a little more to it than that, chat, but I think it's a little clickbaity. And actually, no, I don't apologize. I'm the entertainer, I'm the showman here. So no, I don't apologize for that. Among other things, I would like to apologize for absolutely fucking nothing. Among other things. Okay. No, this is not a story about a Welshman or a guy from New Zealand. No. Okay, so what happened exactly? So a guy in Montana got 6 months in prison, federal prison, for cloning giant sheep and breeding them. You might be thinking, what the hell's going on with this? What are we talking about? Wait, what? How does this work? Because you're thinking, well, it's a sheep. How can you get in trouble for that? So this is a sheep that was nicknamed the Montana Mountain King. That was part of an unlawful scheme to create large hybrid species of wild sheep for sale to hunting preserves in Tejas. I mean, that's an impressive sheep. And if you guys don't know anything about hunting sheep or goats, like a mountain goat, that's actually big. That's pretty good hunting too. A lot of people, when they think of like Montana or Wyoming or the rock in the mountain states, you're hunting elk, you're hunting like mule deer, bears, wolves. No, mountain goats. There's some goats, or you're hunting the rams, the big, curled horns, and they just like cow when they hit. No, the goats and the sheep are a pretty big deal. So, an 81-year-old guy, Jack Schubarth, was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison for illegally using tissue and testicles from large sheep hunted in Central Asia and the U.S. to create hybrid sheep for captivity trophy hunting in Texas and Minnesota. Now, what is captivity trophy hunting? So when you ever see these videos or pictures of people when they killed like a 1,000-pound hog, or in some cases like very good deer, well, deer that are big and huge and they look like they've been well fed and taken care of, those are managed deer, kind of like in a ranch setting. The hogs are taken care of, they're monitored, and you're hunting them basically in a controlled environment. So deer are that way too. And in fact, some of these hunting shows, they basically set up controlled environments to hunt deer, and they basically load it up with food plots, minerals, and things like that, and try to keep the deer around. Now, sometimes they also just fence it all in, and you're hunting on a fenced-in area, and the animals never escape. Now, about the turn of the century, in Ohio, for example, in a lot of the eastern parts of America, white-tailed deer were almost hunted to extinction. And the only places they survived were on private hunting preserves that were fenced in. Well, there were times where fences would get knocked down, or there'd be breaches in fences, and deer would escape. And those deer were illegal to hunt. You couldn't hunt them. And eventually, we have a white-tailed deer population in the eastern United States that is out of fucking control. It's to the point now where states are now giving away like special deer licenses to hunt in urban counties. They hire professional hunters to come in, like in Cleveland in the metro parks. They've hired teams of professional hunters with spotlights and like 30 cal rifles, and they just sit there and just like boop, 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 and just mow them all down. It's very common, very common. So now deer are illegal, but these goats, if you release them into the wild, what would they do? I mean, it sounds like you're introducing foreign animals into an ecosystem. What would it do to the ecosystem? Could it damage it? Could they outbreed populations? Maybe, but they're in a controlled environment. The problem is, it's like Jurassic Park. Everything gets out at some point. You cannot contain everything forever. So what happened here? So the judge did this for an 81-year-old guy, and he was fined $20,000 in order to make a $4,000 payment to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And he is going to be allowed to self-report to a Bureau of Prisons medical facility. And remember, guys, we talked about this before. When you violate, or when you get sent to prison at the federal level, if you're not in custody already, you generally are allowed to report at a certain date and time that the court gives you to a federal prison facility. Now, in this guy's situation, he's 81. He sounds sick. So they're allowing him to report to a federal medical facility. Kind of like where Uncle Ted went for his last days. Maybe the Haitians can hunt the sheep. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh my God. You guys are something else. You guys are something else here. So, what exactly happened here? Well, Schubart's attorney said that the cloning the giant Marco Polo sheep that were hunted in Afghanistan in 2013 have ruined his client's life. Now, if you guys don't know what a Marco Polo sheep is, it's a big sheep. And if you don't know where Kyrgyzstan is, it's one of the former Soviet republics. The Marco Polo sheep are pretty gnarly looking, though. They're pretty cool. If you guys have never seen pictures of them. They're all over the if you go throughout the Soviet republics, basically you can find them anywhere. It's just Kyrgyzstan's a good place to find them. But this is a Marco Polo sheep. It's pretty cool. It's a giant ram, and it's an endangered species from Azerbaijan. Yeah, but you can find them in like Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan. Where else can you find them? I think you can find them all throughout, and probably can find them in Afghanistan now. But it's like you'd have to go hunt them down. They're actually not. They're not endangered. They're near threatened. So they're on the endangered situation. There's like There's 1, 2, 3. They're like 3 steps away from being endangered. So they're getting there. but they're not entirely on the. They're not entirely out of the like. They're not going away yet. So, but you even find them in Pakistan, Afghanistan, all throughout Central Asia, and that looks pretty cool. I mean, look at that thing; it looks pretty gnarly. It's an Afghan's wet dream. Okay, well, yeah, there you go. The Ram is okay. He's the sniper spotter. Yeah. Oh. You bet those guys are tasty? Yeah. Yeah, they probably are. That is a whitetail size thing. Actually, how big are these guys? Okay, yeah, here we go. Here's some information. Here's what Wikipedia says. Mature rams on average weigh almost 300 pounds. Phew. That's big. That's big enough, chat. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's not a little bit. That's not a little bit. So half a Sean. That's a lot bigger than a whitetail, yes. Why do you want to put sheep on the moon, Panther, dude? I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, over on Rumble, Jobble done saying rest in peace, Uncle Ted. Yeah, rest in peace. Rest in pepperonis. So it would be a pretty good offensive lineman, yeah. It's a large mule deer. Yeah, it's like a pretty good sized mule deer. That'd be a pretty good sized mule deer. And mule deer are bigger deer, guys, and like mule deer, the name kind of explains itself. It's a bigger deer. Now, what happened and why did he get in trouble? What law did he break, actually? Well, believe it or not, you're like, well, is there a federal law for that? Yes, there is. It's called the Lacey Act, and it's a very interesting piece of federal legislation. Anyway, he got charged in federal court, and the Lacey Act is a conservation law, and the Lacey Act goes back to 1900, chat. So it's not a brand new thing. It's not a new thing that just came out 20 years ago, but it's been around forever. I mean, it was enacted in 1900. William McKinley signed it, and it's been amended a couple of times, but it prohibits the importation, exporting, transportation, sale, receipt, acquisition, a purchase of fish or wildlife or any plants taken, possessed, or transported, or sold in violation of any laws, treaties, or regulations of the United States. So it's meant to make sure you don't bring in things that are prohibited. No, this is not the Endangered Species Act. This is a separate thing. Because remember, the Marco Polo sheep are not endangered. So can we blame Theodore Roosevelt for this? You probably could, actually. You could probably actually blame Theodore Roosevelt for this law. So what did he get charged with initially? Well, he got charged with a conspiracy. And the conspiracy is the conspiracy to violate the Lacey Act. And you got the 5 years imprisonment, chat. We talked about it before. 18 U.S.C. 371. Now, this is we'll get to the Barnes analysis. But then he got Lacey Act trafficking. And that's under 16 U.S.C. 3372. Another 5 years of imprisonment, possibly, and a $250,000 fine. So, what happened here? So, this guy was the owner and operator of an alternative livestock facility in Montana, also known as a game farm, operating under the name Sun River Enterprises. The business engaged in the purchase, sale, and breeding of mountain sheep, mountain goats, and other ungulates with the primary purpose of marketing and selling live animals and genetic material, i.e. semen, to captive hunting operations, also known as game ranches or shooting preserves. Now, ungulates also include other animals out there that are of that range. But anyways, he had a 215-acre ranch, so it's not the Dutton Ranch. And it was located in a high elevation prairie out near the Rocky Mountains. And one of the native species in the area is the Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. And I talk about a couple different people here. Person A was in the alternative livestock industry. Yeah, it's got the emo. It's got the emo cows. They're like, no, Dad, I don't want to go to the slaughterhouse. It's so boring there. Everyone's there. Moo. The emo cows. They cut them. They butcher themselves. And person B was a resident of Texas involved in the alternative livestock husbandry. Does that technically mean you're a cuck when that happens? If you're in livestock husbandry, you're watching animals have sex, does that make you an animal cuck? Huh. Not really sure. Not really sure how that would work. But they're just like Glock. They're selling horse semen everywhere. And then uncivil law, Kurt, how you doing? The strike over? Disappointed, lol. Well, anyways, Kurt, hope you're doing well, guys. Uncivil law. Kurt's been covering a lot of stuff. Good channel to watch if you guys have not been liked or subscribed there. You definitely should be doing that. Hope you're doing well tonight, Kurt. Brad says these guys raising lol cows. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a phase, Mom, the emo cows cry. Kimbo says, are you a cuck for jerking off a horse? Who knows? I mean, that's a real question, too. Because that means the Glock people are cucks. And it's like, well, the fact that they don't release anything good, yes, they are cucks. But separate matter. Separate matter for a different day. Different stream. They talk about person C being a resident of Minnesota involved in livestock husbandry and commercial sales of livestock. Person D is someone from Tejas who's involved in livestock husbandry and livestock. And they talk about a couple other people. Person E, who is involved in the same stuff. And the Marco Polo Argali sheep are a species of sheep that live in the high elevations of the Pamir Mountain region that spans Afghanistan, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and China. Argali sheep are listed as threatened under the U.S. Endangered Species Act and are internationally protected under Appendix 2 of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. And it's called CITES, or CITES. So they're not endangered specifically, but they fall under the Endangered Species Act, but they're also protected in the trade. So despite local and international protections, the sheep are trophy hunted due to their large size and unique long spiraling horns. The sheep are believed to be the largest in the world, regularly weighing more than 300 pounds. So like the Mandingo of the sheep world. Tajikistan. It's north of Afghanistan. It's where the Tajiks live. They have their own language, too. The horns are also large of any wild sheep. The Marco Polo sheep are commonly hunted for sport in Tajikistan, Mongolia, and Kyrgyzstan. All imports to the United States of trophies are tightly regulated and require an export permit from the country in which it was harvested, in addition to a permit from the United States Fish and Wildlife Service for import, possession, and other uses. And that's not uncommon. If you go to Africa, depending on what you kill in Africa, you need a permit from where you killed it. So if you're in, a lot of people go to safari out in Africa. Well, like Namibia is one of the big places to go do it. You need permission from Namibia to take it out, but then you also need permission from the United States to bring it in. And there are a lot of animals that are, like a polar bear. You can't just bring a polar bear down. If you got a polar bear, if you went to Canada, you would need permission in Canada, which you can get sometimes. And then you need permission from the United States to import it. Same thing for if you did an elephant. That's going to be tough, but it can be done. They talk about Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. They're the largest species of wild sheep native to North America. And those in the Marco Polo sheep are twice the size of the bighorn sheep. So they bring over the Marco Polo sheep, and it's like, "Hey, little sheep, I'm a big old Tajikistan sheep. What are you doing here?" So anyway, guys, we're talking about the cloning, and yes, the cloning is making an identical genetic copy. We're not going to be, whatever. So here's the issue. Sheep with large bodies and large horns are more valuable to hunters in captive hunting facilities and in the wild. For example, a bighorn ram lamb can produce from a ram known as especially large horns could be sold for a higher price as a breeder animal or as a shooter animal to a shooting preserve. One purpose of crossbreeding and hybridization of sheep is to enhance the desirable traits in offspring, such as body and horn size, thereby increasing the value of the animal. Yeah, and like I said, it's trophy hunting. The bigger the buck, the bigger the trophy. The bigger the antlers, the bigger the horns, the bigger the size. You want that. You crave it, so you can kill it. Because nobody wants to kill like a little sheep that's like, just like from the county fair, just going like, bah. Like nobody wants that. Let's see here. Ewes go to heaven, sheep go to hell. Defense Diaries. Hey, Bob. Bob goes, bah. Alex says, I'm so interested in this and I don't work with animal research. Yes. It's sheep miscegenation. Yes. Mixing of the races. Can't allow it. Oh. What noise does a moose make? I forget, but I've heard it before. It's actually very interesting. And yes, Hunch, I am saying the Asian sheep are bigger than all the others. It's a stereotype breaker. Yes. Yes. Now, what happened here, and guys, this is just a breakdown of the Lacey Act a little more. So the Lacey Act makes it unlawful to knowingly transport, sell, receive, acquire, or purchase in interstate commerce any wildlife when the person knew the wildlife was taken or sold in violation of federal laws or regulations. It also obviously it would prohibit you from making or submitting false records or labels for identification of wildlife that were intended to be transported in interstate or foreign commerce. So you can't do that either. Now, this is something that will happen with people who violate the Lacey Act. If you go on a cruise somewhere, and this has happened a couple of times before, people, they buy like an animal fossil or an animal shell or something like that, and they bring it back, and you get caught with it. It's like, well, I didn't know it was an endangered animal or a threatened animal when I bought it in whatever island nation you're in. That stuff's been kind of clamped down a lot now, but it used to be a bigger problem. Well, you violated federal law. You transported that in, and you didn't have a permit for it. It has happened once in a while. So, but under CITES, species are protected according to classification systems known as appendices. Appendix 2 consists of the species that may become threatened by extinction if trade is not regulated. So, in the United States, CITES is implemented through the Endangered Species Act. The ESA and its implementing regulations make it unlawful for anyone engaged in trade in specimens contrary to CITES or possess any specimens traded contrary to CITES. So not only can you not do it and be the person who brings it into the country, but possessing it is illegal as well. So the ESA independently lists animals as both endangered and threatened and prohibits their importing, exporting, receipt, sale, and offer if you are listed as endangered or threatened. So the Marco Polo sheep was listed in 1975 and was listed under the Endangered Species Act in 1992. And this is the issue, then it becomes the issue of the breeding and the sheep. In order to protect Montana's native wildlife and plant species, Montana is deemed necessary to prohibit certain exotic species from being imported or sold in Montana. And that's a thing. they have to protect their own wildlife. And you guys might joke, but this is the Simpsons and the frog thing. It's the same reason why Australia had rabbits. Rabbits almost destroyed Australian agriculture. They had to build fences to try to stop the spread of rabbits, and it got out of control. Rabbits are dangerous, and they don't want to ruin what's there. Now, what happens here with this? So what are you not allowed to have? Argali sheep, Marco Polo sheep, the Trans-Caspian Urial sheep, the Mouflon sheep. That just sounds like an awful name. What kind of sheep are you? I'm a Mouflon sheep. It's like the Marco Polo name sounds pretty cool. What are you? I'm a Marco Polo sheep. That sounds pretty gnarly. So you can't do any of that. You can't sell, purchase, or exchange. All are part of any fish, bird, or game animal or fur-bearing animal in Montana, except as provided by law. And that's the thing. Generally, you aren't allowed to go sell things you kill, except for certain circumstances. You can't capture, take, or otherwise acquire game animals for use on a livestock ranch because they don't want you going out and capturing animals and then bringing them in to try to do stuff with them. So you couldn't go out, like if you're John Dutton, you couldn't go out up in the hills and have the guys go round up some sheep and bring them down to the ranch. That would be illegal under Montana law. Also, that'd probably be illegal under federal law too, but different issue for another day. So they talk about the counts here and what happened. Well, they had a conspiracy that began in January 2013. So what did they do? Well, they were going to violate the Lacey Act and the Endangered Species Act in Montana law. So what happened? So they wanted to create a clone sheep from parts hunted in Kyrgyzstan. Okay, well, what were they going to do? They were going to perform laparoscopic artificial insemination and other forms of artificial breeding to create larger lines of the sheep. So what did they do? Well, they used electronic communications like Facebook. Of course, the 80-year-old guy's using goddamn Facebook. Yes, are we making Ram Ranch jokes now, chat? Oh my God. No, chat, no. No. Jeez. These text messages to coordinate their sales. So they left a paper trail. Remember, chat. Remember, when it comes to this, you cannot be making notes about your criminal conspiracies.
Nigga, is you taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy? What the fuck is you thinking, man?
Yeah. You don't want to be writing it down. So what did they do? So in 2013, Person A entered the United States with Marco Polo sheep tissue that had been hunted. Okay, well, Person A didn't declare it. In 2013, they entered into a cell storage agreement with a corporation for storage and preservation of tissue from a male Marco Polo sheep named Rocky. So once again, they're already writing this down somewhere. Brilliant job, guys. We're gonna make a business document about our criminal activity. Holy shit. Holy crap, guys. Come on now. How do you organize without taking notes? Very carefully. Very carefully. So to do this, they entered into a cloning contract. So once again, more written documents about what you're doing illegally, and they did it for $4,200 a deposit. So they received about 165 clone embryos. And in 2017, a pure Marco Polo sheep was born from the cloned embryos, named the Montana Mountain King. So in 2018, this guy started harvesting the semen from the king in order to inseminate ewes to create more offspring. It's like, geez. And then in 2018, he ships 20 straws of the semen from Montana to Texas. Oh, and then in 2018, 26 prohibited species of sheep from Minnesota to the ranch to be inseminated with more semen. All kinds of cum everywhere, chat. No cumming. Do not come. It's sheep cooming. No, we're no cooming allowed. A $600 check to use on a sheep using the king semen. I wonder if it says on there, putting king semen in my sheep on the check. It probably said something like that, honestly. But they transported more sheep to get inseminated. They just kept doing this. And then they shipped 37 straws of this down. Imagine if you're the mailman. Oh my God. Think about oh God. They send that shit like FedEx guys. Oh, Jesus. You know how much, at FedEx, you know how many boxes tear open and get damaged or destroyed? So, people are shipping, whatever companies ship liquids and stuff like that, they get everywhere. And I used to, when I worked at FedEx, I was one of the people, I'd be used, if there was boxes that got damaged, you'd have to unbox things. If they got covered in, a box full of dish soap broke open and it covered a bunch of boxes. Well, you got to fix that. You have to repackage everything. Oh, my God. Imagine that, fucking mountain goat fucking jizz everywhere, all over a pile of boxes. And you're there's 300-400 boxes sitting there, and it's just dripping it everywhere. You're oh, fuck. I am so lucky that did not happen to me. No, I'm so lucky. Thank God. Thank God that didn't happen, chat. Oh, God, that would have been horrible. That would have been horrible. Oh. Panther Dude says, what, you've never mailed semen before? No, I have not. I don't ever want to. Yes, FedEx damaged your 5-gallon can of stain a week ago. Yeah, that happens too. Anubis says the product was shipped frozen, but here's the problem. Containers break. Okay? Stuff breaks. It'll break open. It'll get compromised. It gets tracked across the country, and it gets damaged in transit while it's getting sorted, driving from Texas to Montana. That's a couple of days in the back of a trailer. That's 100 degrees. And while that horse jizz is thawing out, it's leaking everywhere. Trust me, I've opened up trailers and a box that was supposed to had a cooler ruptured. And cooler water leaked out everywhere. Trust me, it happened. Oh my God, this is just horrible. Nico says, what's my P.O. box? It's down below. But please don't send that to me. Oh. So anyway, yeah, these guys were engaging in all of this. And they offered to sell an offspring named Black Magic. Oh, I'm sure. It's hey, little sheep, I'm the big Black Magic sheep. Oh. Well, then these people do this stuff. They procure animal health inspection certificates. Guys, you can't document your crimes. Do not do this. And then don't turn around and claim oh, they're sheep from New Mexico. People are going to not buy your stories. Oh, just stop. Stop documenting things. And then people are in Montana are procuring livestock certificates of veterinary inspection. Yeah, this is forgery. And you're going to get, there's so many ways this fucks you. Don't do this kind of shit. Don't try to paper it up. It's not going to work. There's a prosecutor here in the Cleveland area who just got he's about to get indicted. You can't paper over things. You can't. It doesn't work. Don't paper over stuff. They tried to sell the sheep as New Mexico domestic sheep. How many domestic sheep are 300 pounds and have all these curly horns and stuff? Come on. Oh. Yes, and then they discuss via electronic messages the name for the sheep they were creating. And somebody said, Black Argali, he knows we can't. Yes, admitting we can't do this and your text message. Come on, guys. Oh my God, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Once again, why would you take notes on your criminal conspiracy? Yeah, fraud. It's worse. It's worse when you paper it. Yes, it is. Yes, don't listen to Sean. Document your crimes. Urbras, the deplorable, says, while there's a lot of animal husbandry laws, there are, especially when it involves game animals. There's a lot of rules about. I mean, like, go pick up your state's hunting regulations, your trapping regulations, your fishing regulations. Ohio's like, if you get the book and download the PDF of like hunting and fishing regs and trapping regs and like hunting fowl, like, you know, geese and duck, it's like 90 some pages. And that doesn't include all the stuff in the Ohio Administrative Code that's out there. There are a ton, there's a ton of laws in this. And a lot of these are because people would do insane, retarded shit and introduce animals that basically disease and kill everything off. So there are some reasons to it, because people can't be trusted to act intelligently. Are you saying we need to ship rabbits to Australia? Australia already has enough rabbits. Don't worry, chat. There's already enough rabbits in Australia. Oh. Yes, Hella makes her money breeding black market rabbits. Anubis says my filter. It's not my filter. It's I don't run any filters. That's all Twitch. It picked up the word for male reproductive fluid. Oh no. But yeah. It's like, that guy's up in Montana. He's like, oh, I'm gonna come. And the federal government's like, don't come. Don't come. We'll put you in prison. And guess what they did? Guess what they did? Oh God. So just note to self, chat. Note to self, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, so moving from there, we got a couple of things we got to catch up on here. But yes, why was it? More importantly, I forgot the Barnes segment. This violates the Third Amendment. This violates the Fourth Amendment. This violates the 19th Amendment. This violates the 23rd Amendment and the 24th Amendment. All they got to do is file a Franks hearing, and they're going to win. I know they will win. Okay. Kimbo says, I will lead the chat in our prayers. Yes. Uncle Bob's B says, Styx is out on bail. Yes, Styx Hexenhammer is out of jail down in New Orleans. Apparently, he got charged with domestic violence or some sort of domestic battery. I know there's basically like an arrest page. I know Jeremy from the Quartering bailed him out. I want to see a police report and stuff, because I'll actually cover that then. That's actually going to be worth something to look at. Sir Phil says union A-logs. Oh my God. Unionized A-logs would be so scary. Can you imagine Ralph would be like, well, me and the A-logs are having collective bargaining tomorrow. So we'll see you tomorrow, chat. We need to meet the extendo for the collective bargaining agreement. That would be so horrible. That would be scary. That's like lawyers unionizing. That would be very bad for the world. Garrett says, is he going to like a heavy petting work camp? Yeah, that's it. Oh. Stephen Cooper says this was in Vaughn, Montana. My aunt and uncle live a half mile from this guy. Oh, cool. Interesting. Hopefully they say he's crazy or something. DS says right, and they jump off cliffs and you got to go get them. Yeah, that happens too. Yeah, imagine carrying a 50 to, imagine them carrying 50 to 100 yards uphill a mile. Yeah, they are heavy. And even when you cut them up, you can quarter them and pack them out. Yeah, and the other thing is now you got to worry about, you got to get out of the mountains, and it's going to get dark, and the sheep and the wolves are going to show up, and you're carrying the sheep you killed. Yeah, it is very elusive game, and you've got to be. It's a test of your physical abilities because you're up in the mountains hunting them. DS says, sorry, 150 pounds. Yeah. We need to breed the Haitian eating rams. Jeez. He said, Natix says, what happens when the sheep escape into LA or New York City? I don't know. Polly says maybe the Haitians can hunt the sheep. DS says, yeah, and going hunting out for these things, or in a safari, it's like a 50 to 80K hunt. Yeah. Doing foreign trophy hunting is expensive. Very expensive. And DS says they're still considered exotics in the US. Yeah. And Stacy says, well, wait, why would the government be allowed to plant kudzu? Yeah, remember, the government can do whatever they want. Remember, they're the government. So it's okay. DS says, if anybody can get me a cheap horn tag, let me know. Well, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would be. And Colostomy Bag says, I drink Glock semen over cigs any day of the week. That's a man of conviction right there, chat. A man of conviction. Just 07's in chat. Johan says, if you're an Alaskan Inuit native, you can harvest walrus tusk because of origin. Yes. The same reason why if you are a member of a Native American tribe, you could possess eagle feathers. That's the only way you can possess them is by being a member of a native tribe and having native permission to do it or needing it for native reasons. So yes, there are ways around these endangered species laws, but pretty much if you're not an Indian, you're kind of screwed. And Whiskey Chick says, West Virginia is a big problem with people stealing wild horses. There's wild horses in West Virginia? I can't imagine there's too many, but okay. Unhung Hero says, oh, I'm going to come like the sheep. Yes. And Seller says, I don't get it. Wouldn't these super sheep just be providing much needed diversity like the people we import? What's the difference? You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy, Sully.
You're a funny guy, Sully. I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
Yes, that's a funny guy. But it generally, we don't like introducing the wildlife. Is it going to destabilize environments and ecosystems? Those sheep might introduce diseases. I mean, for example, or we have the emerald ash borer here on the East Coast, destroying ash trees left and right. Going back to the 70s, we had Dutch elm disease come to America. A lot of elm trees died. There's something coming after walnut trees right now. Out on the West Coast, they're having problems with some beetles and borers and things like that. So that's why we don't fuck with wildlife from other countries. It never ends well. Defense Diaries, Bob gave a sticker for $4.99. Thank you, Bob. And Stephen Cooper says, fun fact, FedEx, UPS, USPS stab packages. I never stabbed a package. Things get crushed and destroyed so easily. And I would argue most people don't properly pack their things, and that's why they suffer problems. And J-Rock says the Greens, are we doing an International Greens chapter? The Local 127? No. You're not unionizing, chat, at all. Yeah, Bob is saying Dutch elm wiped out all the elm trees in Oak Park. Pretty sad, yeah. If you guys have never seen the pictures of America with elm trees growing up and almost shading entire streets, it's all gone now. Elm trees, there are resistant elm trees now, but the majority of the elm trees in America just got completely it's the same thing with ash trees. My ex-wife, her family had these ash trees on her property, and this one, we got married outside. We had to cut down fucking 15 ash trees because they all died. Spent all winter cutting them down, burning beautiful ash wood. We saved some of it, but I mean, it's just, ash wood is beautiful. These were beautiful tall trees, and they were all dead. You had to get rid of them. So, okay. Wow. We need to get rolling here, chat. We need to get rolling. Okay. So from there, we got this one I think is a little bit heartwarming here. And this is, if you guys have ever heard this story, this is a story that happened down in Houston, Texas. So Gerald Goins was a officer on the Houston Police Department, and he fabricated a warrant. And that wasn't the issue necessarily, fabricating the warrant. It's what happened in that warrant. They raided a house, And the people in the house defended themselves. And the police got in a shootout with those people. And the police killed those people. Killed a guy and his girlfriend. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were actually innocent people. And they died. And they were murdered. And this is from a no-knock raid in 2019. So, and this is him right here. And as it says, he was in court facing the issues he had created here, the murder charges. And he suffered a medical emergency during his sentencing. And you're like, aw, that couldn't happen to a nicer guy. So, yes, he was convicted of felony murder in September. He suffered a sudden medical episode during court proceedings today. Yeah, today, still Thursday. Abruptly stopping the closing arguments on his sentencings. Now, guys, remember, this is Texas. In Texas, the jury gets to decide your sentence. They recommend a sentence. So they have presentations for sentencing at that point. And it's just like, you might think of it, it wasn't capital murder, but they have a sentencing phase. And from there, the jury gets to pass down its sentence, and they hear separate things that go on. And if you guys have never heard this story, it's absolutely sad what happened. And it's just absolutely horrible. So anyway, yes, he was found guilty of 2 counts of felony murder. He made a false warrant and led to a no-knock raid. He lied to a judge to obtain the search warrant. Arguing the lie made him responsible for a guy named Dennis Tuttle and Regina Nicholas, and they got killed. Okay? You know, and they went on that he had his age and his health issues, and he's 60 years old. And anything close to 10 years is a death sentence. And yeah, it is. When you're 60 years old, going to jail for 10 years, probably going to kill you. But you know what? I mean, you lied on you made up a search warrant and killed 2 innocent people. Like, oh, well, whoopsie doodle. You know what? You going to prison, make sure, guess what? That'll really make sure this doesn't happen again. Sometimes going to prison is to make an example of people. So, anyway, he had his collapse. So, I saw this and I'm just like, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Homie, you lied and people died. So, yeah, I kind of need to go away for a bit. Yes, and the thing was, he got to retire. He still got a pension out of this. He was able to retire as everything started unfolding. It was a massive scandal. It rocked the Houston Police Department. So it was very, very interesting there. We could probably cover the... I want to cover that, but I also want to see the whole sentencing. They're just going to suspend the sentence. It's a pig. No, I don't think they're going to. He's going to prison. The question is for how long. And I assume he's probably going to be there for at least 15 years, which I think that's more than fair because it's one thing, this wasn't an accident. He got a fake warrant put together and they went out and executed it. And the odds of a no-knock raid are high risk. That's why they do the no-knock raid anyway, because they know it's going to be dangerous. It's what's going to happen. And these people defended themselves because they really didn't do anything wrong. Guess what? You run up in someone's house, people are going to shoot back. So, yeah. All right. Well, moving on from there, guys, to another murder case. America's sweetheart, Sarah Boone. She had her suppression hearing this week. And I will tell you this much, Chad, if you can't see this right now, guess what you're looking at? Yes, that's good old Sarah. She took the stand. And you're like, wait, why did she take the stand? That seems weird, Sean, doesn't it? That seems weird and possibly not really funny. Yeah, pretty much. What happened? Well, as the judge told them, you have no chance in hell of getting through this alive. You're not going to win your suppression hearing. They put Sarah up there. Now, here's the problem. as she's testifying, anything you say can and will be used against you. Everything she said is now admissible at trial against her. They can impeach her with testimony. They can do all kinds of stuff to her. And guess what? They brought up some interesting points. And this little blurb here is kind of a preview of it, where it's just like, I don't know why he did this. Sarah does not have the right to testify at this point. So he could stop her because there's no Fifth Amendment issue there that she has the right to take a stand in her own defense. I don't know why he did this. And Bob, I know you're out there. Yeah, I was watching you guys cover this. This woman, these guys they basically scuttled her own defense at this point. It was really sad to see. So here we go.
That was my understanding, yes.
That's all the questions I have.
Any cross-examination?
Just right out the door, the prosecutor, right out the gate, is swinging hard.
So that afternoon on February 24th of 2020, when Deputy Kayla Rodriguez arrived at your residence shortly after 1 p.m., you were under the influence of alcohol, correct?
Yes.
You were impaired by alcohol, correct?
I don't know as much as impaired means. It did affect, yes.
Okay. And that was...
So there you go. They're already getting her to admit she had been drinking. They had already been getting her to admit she's drinking. Well, here we go.
Consumption from the night before, correct?
Yes.
So you did not go to brunch that morning and have mimosas or anything else to drink, correct? And you consumed no alcohol in your home that morning, correct? So does that affect in any way your memory when you testify about the events that transpired between you and Detective Copesel that afternoon?
Ask one more time, please.
Did the alcohol have any effect on your memory of what happened between you and Detective Copesel that afternoon?
Now or then?
Then.
Did alcohol affect my conversation with her?
There's a jury instruction that says...
And this just goes on, chat. He beats on her for quite a while. This is very much like the Mickey Steins preliminary hearing in reverse. In that one, the defense attorney was up there on cross, just beating away on things. Well, in this situation, the prosecutor gets up there and just starts beating Sarah over the head for quite a while. And it's just, no, it was not a good look. It was not a good look. Is she drunk now? Not on Pruno. Not on Pruno. Yes, Sarah Boone's 13th lawyer says, hashtag goon for Boone. Oh, no. Do not goon for Boone. Do not goon. Do not goon. This court audio is terrible. Yeah, that's also part of the reason why we're not going to continue. But as you can see there, they also got her to admit, well, yeah, I want my testimony. This testimony is more favorable to me than what I said before. She said a lot of things that did not work out for her. This is bad. This is bad. Is this a Galaxy Brain move to introduce ineffective counsel as an appeal point? No, because remember, to get ineffective counsel, you've got to it's like playing spades. You got to shoot the moon. Or it's like, is it hearts? Yeah, it's hearts where you shoot the moon, and you get all the spades, and then you get all the hearts, and actually you get all the hearts. Yeah, you give everybody points. No, because also number one, that's a problem. Number two, as an attorney, you have an ethical duty to be effective as a counsel. To intentionally throw the game would be violating your ethical duties. Number one, you'd be subject. I think you should, if you intentionally did that, I think you should be disbarred. You shouldn't be an attorney, number one. And at the very least, nobody's going to want to hire you because if you tanked the case already, you're not trustworthy. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants that. And then there's the massive risk of the court saying, yeah, it was ineffective. It'd say, yeah, it fell below a certain threshold of care, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the case. So then you're still screwed. So no. The goal should be to always win. There should never be a goal of we're just going to take a knee and hope it works out well. Yeah, you can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do that. So, yeah, I would never recommend it. I would never recommend it. You're beating Womans. This guy's for president. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So moving on from there, guys. What else we got? So we've got to move on to the Young Thug trial. I know that's this has been dragging on. The saga has been going on, and as much as
mistrial is appropriate.
I was everybody was fired up thinking there were going to be some mistrials coming. And this is Young Thug's one of his co-attorneys, Keith Adams. Here's the indomitable Brian Steele, the undeterred Brian Steele. Then there's Young Thug wearing a stylish sweater. There's Max Shart in the background. But here we go. And this is, they were asking for a mistrial because the state has been fucking up once again. And here we go with that. That's interesting.
A mistrial is appropriate. And I'm asking
I can't figure out what it is. If it's disingenuous, if it is that, I don't want to.
Now notice, it's the prosecution fucking up again. Shocker again.
Malign the prosecutor standing in front of me right now. So I'm not going to say the possible things that it could be, but it is baffling to me that somebody with the number of years of experience that you have, time after time after time, continues to seemingly purposefully hide the ball to the extent you possibly can for as long as you possibly can. And I really don't want to believe that it is purposeful. But honestly, after a certain number of times, you start to wonder how it could be anything but that, unless it is just that you are so unorganized that you are throwing this case together as you try it. And I am sorry to say that, but this case is being made much more difficult for everybody because of the haphazard way in which it is being presented. I'm going to take a recess for a few minutes. I'll have a ruling when I get back.
I know at the time, Mary's like, oh my God, it's going to be a mistrial. No. If the truly egregious errors are not going to be a mistrial, this is not going to be a mistrial. And remember, guys, judges are risk averse. They will not do what's necessary. So, wasn't going to happen there. And then there was further issues, and complete disaster because the main investigator has been up there on the stand, and the prosecution's like, oh, these files, we had these files for like years, and apparently we never gave them to you. Oops. In the middle of trial. We'd like to think the judge will do a mistrial at some point, but yeah. Anyways, the Young Thug trial is still imploding, is still disintegrating so slowly. And then once again, this is a preview of what's going to happen for the Trump case. A complete disaster. A complete disaster. So just keep that in mind as we go from here. And then, hold on here. We're going to have to save 2 of these for like next week. Hold on here. And then going on from here, guys, this is actually something, it's a bit of a pop culture issue, but I think it brings up some great issues of law here. And it's about baseball. And if you guys were not aware, there is now another issue with Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 baseball. And if you guys don't know what that means, he's the first baseball player in history to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases. And he hit his 50th home run. And just anytime that happens, you know, that baseball is worth money. There's going to be people that want it. And from there, well, that baseball is now, somebody caught it, right? So what do you do with it? Well, what's going to happen? Well, guess what? People are starting to sue. People are suing over it. So what happened? Well, some guy has it right now, and there's a second lawsuit being filed. A second guy's filing a lawsuit claiming he had possession over it. So this guy filed his lawsuit, and he's charging a couple of different people, including an auction company, and that's just to enjoin them from selling it, because it's going to be worth a lot of money. It's going to be worth a lot of money. Because Chris Polanski is the guy who left the stadium with the baseball. Max Mattis filed a lawsuit last week, and then this other guy, Kelvin Ramirez, has also claimed ownership of the ball. So you're suing all these people claiming, no, I'm the guy who's got the right title and interest to this baseball. And Alice is saying that's gay. That's $25,000. It's $25,000 worth of gay. That's a lot of money. There's a lot of money at stake here. So, yeah. And don't be Steve Bartman, but no, there was no issue there. There's no issue with that here. And Sandy, you're asking, isn't there something on the back of tickets that addresses this? We're going to get to that because no. This is a private issue between them. They're not suing the Dodgers. They're not suing the Florida Marlins. They're suing each other. The fans are suing each other. So the bidding for the baseball is currently at $1.464 million. Sorry, I said 25K. So you know what? You could say it's gay. But for $1.4 million, that's a lot of people are willing to be pretty gay for $1.4 million. More than that in Japan, yeah. So that's 1.2 miles with a horse dildo, yeah. Think about all the baldos you could buy with $1.4 million. Think about all the baldos $1.4 million would get you. Anyway, so what are they doing? Well, the lawsuit's going. There actually has been, so what happened? Well, when people tried to grab it, there was a big scrum, and people lost control over it. There is a bit of a, what do you do with this? Like, how do you determine this? Because obviously the baseball is property of Major League Baseball until it gets hit out of the park. And at that point, it becomes, Major League Baseball agrees we no longer have control over the property. If the baseball comes into the stands and out of the playing field into the spectator area, the spectators have the right to claim it. It's basically like abandoned property. Although I don't know how that would be determined under Florida law. You could basically interpret that as abandoned property. And the way abandoned property works, if property is abandoned, if you come and grab it, guess what? It's yours now. But then it becomes, once you have possession of it, well, then if you lose it, what happens? Well, can somebody pick it up? Does it become lost and abandoned? How does that work? And there are, there was when I took the bar, the property law issue was about a phone being left on a bus. Was it lost? Was it abandoned? How did that work? And in the fact pattern, somebody stole it, and then it was like somebody bought the stolen phone. And obviously, if you buy stolen property, you don't have, because the thief, you can only pass the title you have, and a thief never has valid title. So generally speaking, thieves can't pass title on to people. So the person who bought the stolen phone never has an interest in it. But Samantha Joe, worth the lawyer fees for $1.4 million? You best believe. Now, what happens? Well, there is a case where this did happen previously. And it was one of Barry Bonds' record-breaking baseballs that he hit. And this was back in 2001. And it happened in San Francisco. So Barry Bonds hit a home run. And, he was trying to set, he was trying to enhance his record setting, his record setting year. Back when he was doing steroids. Shh. Just saying. Just saying. Anyway, he hit the ball. It got out there, and it flew into the stands, and a guy caught it in his glove. And he's like, I got it. Well, guess what happened? A bunch of people jumped him. And as he was, attacked and kind of like tackled by everybody, the ball fell out. Okay, cool. And as the ball fell out, it kicked out, and another guy found it. Now, the guy who found it was not part of the group of people who bum rushed the first guy, Guy A. Guy A caught the ball, got bum rushed. Well, Guy B was there too, and the Guy B got knocked over by the group of people as well. Well, he's laying on the ground, and he found it, and he's like, oh, sweet. And he grabs it and picks it up. He's like, it's mine. And he didn't do anything wrong to get it. So how did they work it out? Well, these guys sued each other over the baseball. They went to court over it. And the judge actually said, I can't tell you how to do this. I can't tell you how to do this. I can't take it away from either of you. Because they were both rightfully in possession of it. Because at the end of the day, if you hadn't grabbed the ball, Guy A, if he hadn't grabbed the ball and Guy B had grabbed it instead, well, it's still abandoned property. I still have it. So what happened? Well, they came up with an answer, and the court's like, you guys both have property interest in the baseball. So split it equally. And I think that was the court just not wanting to deal with it and thought that was fine. Fine, you both can have it. It's very much like, once again, The Simpsons. When they buy the Radioactive Man comic, they all own an interest in it. So they sold the ball together, and then they split the proceeds. Yes, the Solomon way. J-Rock says the easy answer is to share it and don't be dicks. Well, I'm assuming one of these guys for $1.4 million is willing to be a major dick. Michelle says, so I caught it and then the other guy attacked him and stole it. No. The way it generally works is, you've caught it and other people jump you for it and the other guy gets a hold of it somehow. Now, we don't know the full story in this one here because I haven't found the lawsuit yet. I'm going to take a look at it. I think it'll be very fun to read. So, yes, you know what, guys? This is like the stuff when you're in property law, lost and abandoned property, lost and found, and who found it, and all the different things you can do with it. And J-Rex says lost and abandoned has Nick's kids. They're experts. Oof. Oh, no. Jesus, J-Rock. Devel says constructive theft is a reach. I don't think anybody's saying constructive theft here. And that's a shame of saying Indiana is a finders keepers state. You can't thieve lost or mislaid property, lol. And I don't disagree with you. But for example, in the bar hypothetical, somebody had it and they found it and it was an abandoned phone. I made the argument it was abandoned. And then person B found it was an abandoned phone. It became his. Well, person C stole it. And when C stole it and sold it to D, D didn't have valid claim to the title. So it was still person B's phone. So, yeah, it's going to be an issue about how these balls were taken away and how it was stolen property. It's going to be an issue. It's going to be a major issue how this all shakes out. The whole story, it's on video from 10 feet away. I have not seen the video, though. So, and if there is video, I will take a look at it and we'll watch it we'll do a stream about it. There is video? Good. Well, I have not seen it. So. Oh, Vanguard King saying Legal Mindset had the video. And it looks like the guy who left was the only one who had positive control over it. Well, it's probably going to be his. So, anyways, I want to take a look at it and see it. And look at it there and see what's there. So the other issue here is, and this is a bit of a it's kind of sports if you want to consider racing a sport. But yes, Michael Jordan and his 23XL team. Yes, if you guys weren't aware, Michael Jordan has a racing team, and hopefully this does a lot better than his baseball career. Because if you guys weren't aware, Michael Jordan's baseball career was just flaming hot garbage. So, two separate racing teams. And two racing teams here. They have done something that actually I'm not too sad to see. They filed an antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR and its chairman Jim France. And if you guys don't know anything about NASCAR, it's 2311. Oh, 2311. I don't know. Guys, that's why I don't do NASCAR anymore. I'm Formula One now. NASCAR got really gay lately. And the reason why he got gay is because of the France family. The France family ruined NASCAR. So there you go. NASCAR is good pre-2003, and that's good up until about 2012, probably. Anyway, they are suing NASCAR for antitrust, and I'm like, oh, well, couldn't happen to nicer people. It's just kind of like the whole docs thing. You know, nobody's a good guy in that situation here. Nobody's a good guy. So it's like you let them all knife fight each other. You're like, oh, well, have fun with that. But yes, it's Michael Jordan's racing teams, including Bubba Wallace is one of the drivers for these teams. And they say the France family has a monopoly of profits through its ownership and control of NASCAR, which is the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. And it uses economic power as the sole premier stock car organization. So, yes, they are going after NASCAR, and I think it's only fair. NASCAR has kind of ruined everything there, so we'll see what happens. They talk about the unfair system has been created for the participants, and it's also the issue here. Only one family owns NASCAR, and it's true. A family owns NASCAR. So imagine if a family owned the NFL. It's a very interesting situation there. You blame Camelot. Yes, Camelot's racing. Yes, World Star meets NASCAR with Bubba Wallace. Yes, with his whole faked hate crime. So we will see what happens there. I don't know. Yeah, it will be very interesting. So, yeah, like I said, people were like, "Oh, what does this mean?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, hopefully Michael Jordan's racing team is better than his baseball teams because he wasn't very good at it. NASCAR has sucked since they made it so the cars can't crash into the stands. Well, they've sucked for a little while. After John Force got blown. Well, John Force isn't a NASCAR. He's not a NASCAR. Stop. Although I'm glad that John Force is okay because, God, that crash of car blowing up was rough. Oof. You guys don't know who John Force is. That you Google his recent crash. It's like, ugh. He didn't die, surprisingly. Like I saw that and I'm like, good, he's dead. So he's in draft. That's a horrible joke. That's a boo. Oh God, that was good. That was Jesus. Yes, the restrictor plates are BS. Yes, and I think that's funny. Look at Formula One; they actually have things on the cars that let them go even faster. At NASCAR, they intentionally slow the cars down, and it's just ridiculous. NASCAR is turning; it's really kayfabe now. All the crap they do, competition yellows, all the other garbage they have going on, yeah. So that's, yeah. Manny B says John Force is the GOAT. You know, like, he's not bad, but he's no Don Garlitz. I mean, I'm just saying. John is good, but imagine if Don Garlitz was around today, man. He'd be tearing it up. Make NASCAR dangerous again. A little bit. All race the same car. It's really annoying. Mavka says when Jordan had control of the Hornets, they were the Hornets. Have you seen the Gran Turismo movie based on a true story? There's a Gran Turismo movie? Didn't know that. Let's see here. Old Daddy Tom. Yeah. Old Daddy Tom would still be blowing the fuck out of superchargers. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. I think old Daddy Don might have, hit the wall at some point. Yes, John Force did race Don Garlitz, but imagine if Don Garlitz was still around, like, racing now, is the point, Maddie. With, like, modern technology, imagine if he was still doing it, is the point. And Don Garlitz is almost 100 years old, is the problem I'm trying to make here. Yeah, when did he race John Force? That would have been, like, when? Like, 35 years ago? When would he have done it? It would have been in the 80s, right? Or would it have been in the 90s? Hold on here. When did Darn Garlix? Oh, yeah, he came back in 2003, yeah. But I don't think he raced John Force then. When did he race? By the way, Don Garland's a big Ron Paul fan. What do I think of the Hamilton to Ferrari move? If Ferrari needed any more fucking problems, they need Lewis Hamilton. They need that like they need a hole in their head. It's not going to be good, but, Ferrari kind of sucks right now anyway, so, it's going to be garbage. If Ferrari... Watching Lewis Hamilton... I mean, the only funny part about it's going to be watching Lewis Hamilton scream and cry over Ferrari's shit strategy every race and fucking it up. And it happening to Lewis Hamilton. That's about the only funny thing that I can take solace in. So. Oh. Yeah. So. Anyway, chat, we are all done for tonight. We are all caught up here. So, yeah, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Not too bad. We got it done by midnight. So, let's see. We got any more things here we need to catch up on? Ammo's currency for $2 says the difference is I kind of like the sheep. Yes. Norman Clancy says if we don't unionize, he will send in the Pinkertons after us. Oh, no, if you do unionize, I will send the Pinkertons in after you, chat. Oh. Let me see here. Oh, rally car is the only true racing sport out there. I don't know about that. It's pretty fun, though. It's pretty fun. Dazoon saying, yeah, the Tifosi, the Ferrari fans are not going to put up with Hamilton. Yes. Yes. Yes, Top Fuel is like a J-Dan that doesn't stop exploding. I know, but Top Fuel drag racing is really cool. I love it. It's awesome. And it's cool because, as a kid, like, Norwalk Raceway was like 20 minutes from where I grew up. Is really cool. You could always go there. It's still not that far away from where I'm at here. And there's like another drag strip out this way. It's always neat. Drag race is cool. Is it as cool as like dirt track racing or short track racing you could find on a Friday or Saturday night? No. But it's pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. Also, if you guys live near a track, the season's wrapping up, so get out there and see something. Can we get paid to pick it? No. Outlaws are fun to watch. Yeah, all of it's fun to watch. So let me see here. How much do scabs get in the union? I don't know. I'm not. Yes. Bring some safety glasses and earplugs. It's not a bad idea if you ever go to a dirt track race, because you'll get shit'll hit you in the face. So, anyways, guys, that is it for tonight. Thank you all for being here. Over on Rumble, Atomic Racing, drag strips are very competitive and loud. Yes, especially at story time. And let's see here. A job well done says, I don't watch, but my family keeps me up more or less. There's a handful of oval tracks. Yeah, I don't really watch NASCAR too much anymore. And that's a shame, is saying, I don't think I'll make it to locals. Good night, friends. Well, good night. Take care. Somebody saying, love you, Clyde. Sean's okay, too. Yeah, Clyde's okay. He's a good boy. All right, guys, so that is it for tonight. Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you, everybody on locals, on Twitch, on Rumble, on here, on YouTube. Guys, thank you so much for the comments. Like I said, the comments keep the world going around. I appreciate, guys, over 600 people here all night long. Thank you so much. If you guys did enjoy this and you're new, please throw a like down there. That'll fuck with the algorithm a little bit. If you really did enjoy it, subscribe. We do stuff generally throughout the week. And Sarah Boone's trial starts next week, so we will be covering that. And yeah, we will probably trying to work on, if I can get some more information about the baseball case, we will take a look at that and see the video. Like I said, I have not seen it, but I will look for it. And then obviously, yes, the 165-page Trump filing, which we'll take a look at that too. Until then, chat, all I could say is just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. So, good night, chat. Take care, everybody. I will see you guys over on locals. Once again, I'm saying I will see you on locals. Take care, everybody. And good night.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick hated yelled at?